What is your reaction to what the players have offered here?
At least the two sides are talking. Look, they're so far apart in so many of these things that they're discussing, and the realities of the calendar are upon them. According to the players' plan, they would start the regular season on June 30th. That's only 29 days away. So they have to come up with an agreement. They have to put all the safety protocols in place. If they come up with an agreement, they have to get the players in place for a second spring training. And all along, players have told me that they believe that a second spring training would require about 3 weeks. So they have to get moving as quickly as possible.
All right, so this becomes extremely, I hate to ask you to guess, but when they're this far apart and they need to come to a deal, let's call it within the next 7 to 10 days, does that seem reasonable? Does that seem possible?
Yes, it's absolutely possible because, let's face it, to not come up with an agreement this summer, Greeny, the ramifications, the consequences are almost unthinkable for baseball, which, if there's no baseball in 2020, would spin into this long cycle of labor strife. The same questions would be still there next spring. They would have to come up with another agreement. Then with the looming end of the CBA in 2021 in December, the possibility of a player strike comes into it. I've heard that from the players' side. And there might be owners who've lost so much money they feel like, you know what, let's just wait out the players and we'll get the financial model we need. And all the while, they'd be earning the anger, the enmity of sports fans, and who knows what the state of the business would be when it would come back.
Yeah, I was following you on Twitter over the weekend, and you were making that point. Is it going too far to say that the future of baseball as we know it, to a large degree, hangs in the balance over the next 10 days?
No question about it, because the issues are so large and the impact on the two sides would be so extreme, and the anger of fans. All you have to do is every time you see something put out there by either side, a player on social media, follow the mentions and the people reacting. So many fans are angry about how this is developing with so many things going on in our country.
Buster, outstanding. And again, you can read all of that from Buster on ESPN.com and his Twitter page. Buster, thank you. Let me bring Teixeira in here. Mark Teixeira, our former player, who joins us with his perspective on all of this. You just heard Buster talking about what the ramifications could be for this game and this sport that you love so much if it doesn't get worked out in the next week or so. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree with Buster here. I mean, here's the issue, Greeny. Both sides of this debate have really good points. Sometimes I look at the owners and go, yeah, you make great points here, you're right. Then I look at the players' argument, and they're right as well. And so when both sides feel like they have, the moral high ground, that's the issue, that we do not have more conversations going on right now. And so if both sides stick to their guns, which is their right to stick to their sides, and nobody plays baseball this year, everybody loses. First of all, for the players, you look at what the future contracts are going to look like. If baseball isn't played, salary arbitration, free agency is going to completely dry up. Now you look at the owner's side. Their franchise values are going to plummet. So it behooves both sides of this debate to come together and actually play.
We understand how the players have historically stuck together so strongly, and that's why they've been historically by far the most powerful of the sports unions. Take us inside that a little bit. What kinds of conversations, from your experience as a longtime player, what kinds of conversations are taking place amongst players right now?
Well, players, they do want to play. That's the issue, and they're not getting their salary. They're in the prime of their careers. They're not playing. So they want to play, but at the same time, they respect the past. So you have the older players talking about, look at the guys in 94, 95 that held out for your rights and your freedoms. They respect those past players. But they also have to look at the future of the game and try to put it in the best situation. So they're weighing this very delicate balance by respecting what has occurred in the past labor negotiations, but also not wanting to completely torpedo the future of baseball.
And so for the people you're talking to and your experience in all of this, how would you describe your level of optimism that they will figure this thing out in the next week to 10 days?
I mean, I've said it from all along. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I do want to warn the players very, very quickly. If you win the negotiation this year, let's just say that the owners accept this deal, which I don't think they will, but if they accepted this deal, the economic catastrophe that would happen to the owners is real. And so every dollar that the players make this year, they're not making next year and the year after. So if owners continue to hemorrhage cash and lose a bunch of money in 2020 because of this pandemic, they're not going to be spending it next offseason and in future off seasons. So I worry that's a little bit of a Pyrrhic victory if the players actually do win this negotiation.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.